Jesus was so great at managing others with respect and staying in submission to the authority of God. Jesus took time away by himself without excuse. He didn't stand there on the edge of the hillside and say, I'm going off by myself. Now, I'm so sorry, but I'm so tired and you just don't understand. Like, I've been going and going and going. He doesn't give an explanation. Even to the disciples, he just goes and does what his Father's will is, which is to refuel himself so that he can serve to the level that he needs to serve. And, obviously he served in a perfect way. It's interesting that he had limits in what he could do as a human in this fleshly body, that he was obedient to God to recognize that he couldn't please everybody. He boldly spoke against the religious leaders with authority. I mean, you talk about going against everything that a people pleaser hates. He sat there and said, this is a lie that you believe. This is not true. And I am the truth. Let me just share with you who I am. Even though they outwardly rejected him, they eventually killed him for what he believed and for what he said. He would speak about who he was, but there were many times when he's just like, I don't need to show you a sign. I am who I am. What I am doing should demonstrate enough to you. He didn't feel the need to explain himself. He didn't feel the need to say, no, I'm going to show you and convince you and beg you. No, he just said, this is the way it is. As part of living in his authority, Jesus spoke truth in love, but it was still hard truth to hear. There was a rich young man who came to him and said, what may I need to do to inherit the kingdom of God? And he saw that the world had such a hold on this man, his possessions. And he said, you need to sell everything, come and follow me. And the man walks away because he said, he couldn't do that. That's the kind of stuff that Jesus said without apology, in a respectful way, because sometimes the most respectful thing we can do is tell someone the truth in love. And most of all, we see Jesus being about his Father's business and his will. Even from the time of when he was a young child, there's that story of him being separated from his parents in the temple. He was gone from them for several days. And it cracks me up, his response, because he says to them, when they finally find him, and it's in Luke 2, verses 49, he says, why were you searching for me? Didn't you know I had to be in my Father's house? He doesn't explain. He literally just says, this is who I have to obey. This is who I am. And also, of course, in the Garden of Gethsemane, when seeing the cross before him, seeing what God was calling him to do, knowing what was before him, he asked God, Father, all things are possible for you. And if it is possible, will you please take this away from me? But not as I will, but what you will. So he doesn't make an excuse for the difficulty that he had to go through and move forward with. He says, I'm following you, God, and I'm doing what you're calling me to do.